everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are working again with the Shelby Gt350 engine project. We are going to get the engine back in the car, kind of, sort of. I'll explain more about what I mean in a bit, but do you guys recall when I told you that my goal for at least the end of March was to get the Shelby, at least get it turned on? I don't think that's gonna be possible, not because of me. There's just some parts that are still being put together, still being made. So today we are going to put the engine back, but the transmission still isn't ready quite yet. The goal today is to drop the K-member and then get the engine on it. Now let me show you something. I have this little red cart with me. I actually ended up seeing this at a shop. So the times that I've been to Dyno Comps, and there's this one GTR that's always there, always getting upgrades, more power. So, and it has the engine on this cart right here. I thought that is such a great idea. That would be a lot more helpful for me in this project, because I don't know if you guys remember back then when I was assembling the engine, when I removed it from the car, it was this makeshift little cart that I used. I don't even know exactly what to call it. I think it's like a furniture mover, and I used that. It was a little bit sketchy, but this is going to be a great help because of course I can actually pull in here and it has a lot more support, a lot more surface area. So today we are going to drop the K-member on this. So like I said, I can pull it, so it's better because of course this is going to be heavy, so it fits perfectly under here. So the idea today is to remove the K-member. Pretty simple. There are a few things that need to come off, which you guys will see, but the K-member will rest on this cart, then the car will raise, and then we can have the engine go on the K-member. So this is going to be, I think, just a lot easier and a lot safer than last time. First, I'm going to start off by removing the caliper, the rotor, and also the spindle bolts, just because everything is connected to the K-member and we are going to be raising the car. Technically, I can just remove the strut bolts and then just remove it that way, but I feel like the other way is easier just because this is going to be a lot of weight, and also if I remove those strut bolts, then that strut is going to end up coming here towards the fender, and I just don't want to do any damage. So I just feel like the other way is easier. That's what I did last time, so I'm just going to do that this time, and then we can move on to removing the K-member. The K-member is now sitting on this cart, so that went pretty smoothly, no issues whatsoever, at least removing the K-member from the car. So now it's sitting on this cart, and I really like this because whenever I need to put it back on, then it'll just be really easy if I need to adjust it, or just any adjustment that I need to do to align this, and I can easily maneuver this with this cart. So now it's time to get to this fun part here of moving the engine on the K-member. So it's already here with the engine hoist, it's already attached. Now the only thing that needs to happen now is that the engine hoist needs to be raised a little bit, and then this needs to come off of the engine stand and then make its way slowly here and drop it on the K-member. Now hopefully that goes smoothly, and hopefully there's no issues as far as clearance, because I do have the GT500 oil pan, but we'll see once it's dropped here on the K-member if there are any issues. Hopefully it can go as smoothly as just removing the K-member from the car. Now another thing you may or may not have noticed is this right here. So these are not the stock brackets for the engine mounts. These brackets for the engine mounts are from BMR, which I will speak more about those in a little bit, but for now let's get this fun out of the way. So let's remove it from the engine stand and then move the engine with the hoist. Just slowly make its way back home here on the K-member. Now I will need Chris's help for this, just because I really want to be extra careful. I don't want anything wrong to happen. So I'll see you guys once the engine is here on the K-member. It wasn't bad. It was just a lot of just trial and error with the different angles, because at first we were trying to do it from this side here and it just really wasn't working. Then we just tried flipping the engine hoist many different ways. Then the spindles just kept getting in the way, and then the studs kept getting in the way. We had it at one point where the spindle was on the left side, but then it really wasn't working in regards to aligning this, at least here with the engine mount, so we had to move it here on this side. But then these studs were in the way, but we finally managed. And honestly, I really wasn't trying to move this cart, just because, like I said before, it was already aligned with the car. But I mean, that is kind of the point, that you can just move the cart if I need to. So even though it's not aligned like how it was before, I can just lower the car and then align it. But I'm just glad that everything went smoothly, that the engine is here. It is resting on the oil pan, you can see there, and you could move it a little bit just because it's resting on the oil pan. So oops, a little bit gentler. So you could move it. So now that it's there and we're all good, we can get to the fun part now. So now we can add the rest of the accessories. So I need to remove this plate here, and then we can add the intake manifold, we can add the fuel rail with the injectors, and I have headers to install, but more on that coming later. First, let's get with the installation here first, and then we can get to the headers. So we have the intake manifold on, we have the fuel rail with the injectors on. I still haven't connected the sensors, but that's trivial. I'll do that in a little bit. So now that that's on, we can move on to headers. So here we have these Corsa long tube catless headers that we'll be installing today for the Shelby. I am so excited for this because, of course, I have Corsa headers on my Camaro 011 Elite. I also have Corsa headers for my Red Eye that I have yet to install. So of course I just thought, you know what, it would just be right to keep on and get Corsa headers for my Shelby Gt350. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with my headers on my Camaro, and I'm sure I won't have any issues with the headers for my Red Eye. So here we are. This is like the part that I was honestly just looking forward to today with this whole install with the engine. So it was funny because I was reading the instruction manual and it was saying that this is level of difficulty is 5 wrenches today. Level of difficulty just went down to 1 wrench and about a 10-minute install just because the engine is already off of the car. That makes me really happy to just have a quick and easy headers install. Now another thing that I wanted to mention you here was about these BMR brackets in regards to the engine mounts that I was speaking to you earlier. So they either drop the engine for a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. So I opted for the 1/2 inch option, and they do have for more spacers here, so I only have it like that. Now I chose this option just because it lowers the engine more 1/2 inch, so closer to the center of gravity, and that means it's just going to opt for better handling because of course this car will be taken to the track. And I don't know if you guys remember that I mentioned this before, I do plan in the future, once I know that this engine is good, I've tested it, I've taken it to the track, there's no issues whatsoever, I do plan on getting the Cobra Jet intake. Now initially with the stock engine mounts, with the stock brackets that it had, since the engine did sit a little bit higher, there was going to be a problem in regards to fitment just because that does have more space, so it wouldn't have cleared the hood. So I would have had to make a hole on that hood just to fit that Cobra Jet intake, even though I am planning to get another one that's all carbon fiber just because it'll be lighter and just better for the track. But now regardless of the fact now that it will sit lower, 1/2 inch lower, I won't have to do any of that. So if I stay with with this hood, or if I get another hood, there's no drilling involved, there's no holes that need to be made because it will clear it. So that is another reason that I'm very happy that I chose to go with these brackets for the engine mount. So now let's move on to this quick and easy installation of the Corsa headers. Corsa headers are now installed. This was, again, a very quick and easy, very smooth installation. Again, one wrench took about 10 minutes. So happy that they are installed. This engine is finally coming through. There's just one, well, there's a few things, but one very important thing that's still missing, and that is the transmission. In regards to the transmission, I'm still missing the clutch and the flywheel. Those are still being made. So once I get that, then I can work on the transmission. Another thing that I'm missing is this part that I know I have, I just can't find it. It's a spacer that goes in between the block and the transmission. So I ordered it from Ford. The only problem is that it's back ordered. So I'm waiting on that as well. Then we can finally proceed with just putting it in the car. Well, getting all of those cooling hoses connected, then putting it in the car, just connect everything. So I'd say at this point, we are like about 2 videos away from just getting everything set up, everything connected, and then getting its first startup. Seems like it's taken forever, I know, but we are almost there. Look at this engine. It is it is looking almost ready. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.